A Jmix exclusive.
You don't have to answer this, but were you paid properly at Death Row Records?
I was. I never really had a problem with that. I mean, here and there I'd have to call accounting and kind of straighten a few things out or whatever. But yeah, for the most part, I always got my money till the pretty much almost the very end. They owed me at that point, a pretty good sum of money because I had just been mixing, and it had been kind of piling up. And I remember, then we stopped work for a little while because, I kind of wanted to get paid. And I saw, like I said, things going a different direction. And, I kept hounding them about that money. And then finally I got that money. And they hired me to they paid me that money because they wanted me to do some more mixes. Like on, I can't remember what was first, but I think Gridlocked and Gang Related and this and that. So, there was a few other projects after that I did. And then, as I always knew in the back of my head, I probably wasn't going to get my last paycheck. But that happens in a lot of situations. It's not just Death Row. You can go on through and get all your paychecks and everything, but that last one seems to be the most difficult one. They're kind of closing shop or whatever they're doing and changing things, and that's a tough one. So, yeah, to this day, they probably still owe me a little money, but in retrospect, I made a good share of money on the Death Row days. And, for the small percentage in comparison to what I did get paid as to what they owed me, it doesn't make me bitter or anything like that, that's for sure. It's actually just a great experience. And, I just kind of chalked that one up. Charged to the game, as Snoop always says.
You were one of the first engineers to see Tupac when he got out of prison and came to Death Row, right?
Yeah, I worked with him the very first night he got out. They came to tell me, hey, Pac is getting out of jail. I had already worked a session that day, but they said, can you stay and record Pac? He's got a couple new songs he wants to put down on Daz's Beach. And I was like, yeah, for sure. I'll stay around and record Pac. And that's what I did. I stayed there, and I saw him get his chain, and he went and came in, still some vocals down on these two beats. And, yeah, it was a pretty amazing time. I was glad to see him. He came straight out of jail and went right into the studio. That, to me, showed that he wanted to be the greatest, that he really was on a mission, that he wasn't just off like at the club and trying to get laid or whatever he's going to try to do when you get out of jail. He went straight to the studio. He had a lot to say.
You said that you seen him get his Death Row chain?
Yeah, I did. I saw him when Shug they were in the tracking room. I could see it through the glass. And they were talking, and he took out the chain, he gave it to him, they put it around his neck, and kind of, that was the beginning of his Death Row days, I would say.
What was your first impression of him personally when, you first met him and talked to him? Not work ethic-wise, just as a person.
I was so enthralled with just working on big things at that time, and that was my main goal. So I didn't really look at people to try to size up how they were or judge how they were or anything like that. I just kind of kept my nose to the grindstone and just wanted to do my work and not really get too involved with a lot of the other things, But, of course, you're in the room with him. You see he's a very powerful personality. He had a lot of what you call star quality. You can tell, like Snoop has, when he walks into a room, the room changes. The same way as when I was with Prince. When he came in, the room changes. The mood, the feel, the vibe, everything just turns different into what he's feeling. And Pac had that too. And I think, it's important if you're going to be of that legendary status, you should have that quality in itself, not just that you walk in a room and nobody really even noticed, So I think that was big. I noticed his energy was incredible. He was always highly, highly energetic, always ready to move fast and quick. And You know, I kind of like that. He was a workaholic. I like working with workaholics because I'm a workaholic. You know, he was funny. He had a lot of jokes between he and Johnny J. They'd go back and forth, bagging on each other and everyone else, and it was pretty fun times, really. There was a lot of laughing going on in the studio. It was 90%, I'd say, it was a pretty jovial mood in there.
You mentioned Johnny J. How soon did Johnny J come on board when Tupac was out of jail? I know that Johnny J played a big role in All Eyes on Me.
He did. He came on pretty much like right there, right then and there. It was not too long after. You know, like I said, he had done those 2 beats from Daz. He had a couple other beats from different people. Then Johnny J came in. I think that he made his beats right away. I don't even think he had his beats pre-recorded or anything like that. He didn't just come in and watch Pac do vocals over his beat. He actually came in and made a beat on that SP 1200 right then and there, right in front of me. You know, 7 samples probably, 7 sounds or so, and he put it together, you know, badass beat. So, yeah, you know, Johnny J came on pretty quickly right after, and, you know, he did majority of the lion's share of a lot of the work over there with Pac. They were really tight. They were close.
Because of his untimely passing, what are your fondest memories of Johnny J? Do you have a make you smile moment of working with Johnny J?
I loved working with Johnny J. He loved working with me. We had a great rapport. I always say that it's important to trust the producer you're working with, to trust that he knows what he's really saying and that what he's really hearing is correct. And there's a lot of times people tell you stuff that's not quite what they really mean, and it throws off the whole thing. And I like the fact that I could trust what he was saying. We worked well together. He trusted what I was doing, and I trusted any changes he wanted me to make, and there was no funny business there, which I like a lot, you know. And I just think he was a really talented guy who did right into what Pac was doing. He just knew they were kind of on the same conscious level, so he could really figure out what Pac wanted and give it to him, and I liked that, you know. But, you know, Johnny J was funny. He had a lot of jokes. He'd come in with his wife and his little girl, and he always had jokes. He was pretty funny. I remember he would go back and forth with Pac, and Pac would call him Mexican, and he'd call Pac Groucho Marx and stuff because Pac had those big, thick eyebrows, and he'd call him Groucho Marx a lot. It was just a lot of funny times. That's what I remember about he and Johnny J together. It was always a good time. It was always fun, and you know, laughing going on and everything. That was a good time.
In your experience, do you feel that other artists were unhappy with Tupac coming on board?
You know, I'm sure that some of the lower tier, let's say, artists on Death Row probably were a little annoyed at the fact that Pac was really something. He was something. You know, he'd come to the studio, and when he wanted studio time, that was it. He wanted studio time. He was getting in right then and there. And that's what was really funny. So I think that a lot of the lower tier people wouldn't appreciate the fact that he'd come into the studio and say, look, you guys wrap it up. Just wrap it up. Let's pull the tape off and let's put this new tape on I got over here, and let's get this cracking. Right in the middle of their session. And they're like, wait a minute, what's going on? You know, like he's just jacking our time. And I'd say to him, like, hey, should I make a dad of this or what? You know, we were doing dad takes back then. You know, I'm like, should I make a dad of this so we at least got what we're doing? I mean, I could be halfway through a mix even. So, nah, just take that shit off. And I'm like, good Lord. All right, and let's tell the assistant take off the tape. We'll put on the new tape. And I think maybe with that kind of shenanigans going on. You know, maybe they weren't really too appreciative of that, but everyone liked that he was raising the label, the level of the label, and that it was making it even more legendary than it probably would have been anyway. You know, I mean, I think some of the newer artists probably were thrown off more than some of the veteran guys. You know, I think they probably appreciated having that around. But I think that the newer artists are the ones that took the hit more. Like I say, he jacked their studio time whenever he wanted. He would, you know, he was just funny. He was funny. He was very domineering, I would say.
A Jmix exclusive.
What up, shut up?